I'm Deirdre Online. Welcome. Thank you for joining me this week on my Facebook Live series. This month, I'm really focusing on the family. What is a family? And today, how can we have an enlightening family experience? Well, one would have to laugh. That's kind of a joke, right? When we think of family, a lot of chaos, a lot of great times, difficult times, misunderstandings. But then when we really need someone, it's the family that shows up, or at least we hope so. Sometimes we are blessed to have a wonderful nuclear family. Sometimes our families come apart through divorce or tragedy. And then sometimes we have to create our own family. And I think in the 21st century, we really are about that. Because we move around so much, family gets displaced, we're really always looking for how do I create that close family experience, that deep bonding that feeds my soul and helps my heart be full. So an enlightened family, can there even be an enlightened family? Well, first of all, we have to start with the information that in the Kabbalah or in the mystical traditions, there's a real understanding that family is a microcosm of all that is, of the macrocosm of heaven, of the Creator, and that the family unit really depicts the closest and first energies emanating from the Creator when the Creator created us. Now, I know that sounds pretty lofty, pretty mystical, so I'm going to get it back down to earth for you. When we talk about the soul, I've been talking about the soul a lot this year. You know, what is a soul? Who are we? The soul is this place, is the light within us that is always emanating the life force. It's what gives us life. It's like a candle that's lit. If the candle's not lit, the body dies, the body ends. So the soul is that light, and soul has a consciousness because everything has consciousness. So the soul, which is your deep consciousness, is the place within us that interfaces and is the closest to the Creator, to all that is, the divine intelligence, to God. And we are here for our soul to have a human experience. The soul feels as though it's in exile here. It doesn't understand this world. This world is separate. We're all separate. It's a different kind of world. There's time, there's space. The soul lives outside of time and space. The soul lives in heaven. And the light of the soul, your soul, is a radiance from heaven through you, through every cell of your being. Now, science hasn't quite come up with a language yet to talk about this energy that the spiritualists, the mystics, and religions have been speaking about since we first discovered tablets of spiritual knowledge from thousands and thousands of years ago. So science is still looking for that vernacular of how this life force comes into the body. They haven't found it yet, but the mystics know. And the mystics know that there is a place within you where your physicality and your conscious mind intersects and are merged with your soul, and the light of your being. And this is a very special place. This is a place that you touch in deep meditation. This is a place that you touch when you're in love. And this is a place that you touch when you are in intimate relationships. And intimate, I mean that with people that know you, you know them, and you have an agreement that even when times are hard, you won't leave, you'll stay. Even when there's a shift in the outside surroundings, you and this group of people, family or friends, have said, well, we'll be together. We won't leave each other. We won't abandon each other. And that creates trust, and that creates a bond for your soul to feel safe. And when your soul feels safe, you're at peace, you have serenity, you feel good about life, and you are actually happy. We are happy. Time magazine just came out with a special edition on happiness. It's actually quite brilliant. They don't really talk about the soul, but they do talk about the emotional need that we have. And that what really brings happiness with all the scientific studies are deep bonding relationships, deep bonds in relationships. And that ultimately is what makes us happy. So the enlightened family, or having an enlightening experience in the family, coming back to the soul. So we have a group of souls, and these souls are thrown together by family, or they're come together by choice. We all have, or you have at this time, an opportunity for a quantum leap in the experience of transformation. Because transformation happens in a quantum leap in a relationship with other people. Because other people become the mirrors of your fractured self. And we're all fractured. I'm fractured. There's just no way out of it. If you're going to be here on planet Earth, we have many parts of ourselves that we're here to heal. So in the family, you can set your intention. You can call your family together and say, let's set an intention for today. Perhaps we're going to practice loving kindness. Perhaps we will practice forgiveness. Perhaps we'll practice finding wisdom. But set an intention. Set a goal like you would in a business, because actually families are business. Everything's business at the end of the day. I hate to say that, but it's true, because business is order and business is direction. So think of your family as your spiritual, emotional business. And it actually really is, because we were born into our family to learn what we need to learn. We were born into this life to experience what we need to experience to grow, to become wise, to find the truth in the experience. Sometimes this is very difficult to do. And at this time, this is when we turn to higher power, to God, to the presence of the archangels, to something outside of ourselves to give us a strength that we normally would not have. We're here for relationship healing, for relationship building. We do this with the closest people, with looking to say, where and how can I create this experience? And this experience may be a real mess. I don't know about you, my family has been a mess. I grew up in one of those raucous, Irish, Catholic, dysfunctional families, but lots of love, a lot of craziness too. Let's say you're in a family, and to say, let's have an enlightened family experience, or let's set our intention, everybody would look at you and roll their eyes and kind of laugh. So you don't have to say that. You can simply just set your intention and say, I want to be a catalyst. I want to serve. I want to bring a service of creating an enlightening experience for us. That means an experience of deep love, happiness, and transformation. So you can simply do this by setting your intention, by saying it out loud, by putting it into the field of thought, because thought is profoundly creative. And then from that place, I encourage you to use this particular mantra as you engage and observe. I am here to experience enlightenment. I am here to experience transformation. I am here to experience love. I am here to heal. And with this statement, you can redirect and change the course of any disagreement, and you can create a lot of fun in the process. This is a mystical intention. This is a mystical step. I am, after all, a mystic. And the reason I'm bringing this up, bringing this into the world now, is because I look around at all my friends and people I meet, and, we're kind of not doing a great job in our relationships. Sometimes we're doing okay, but we're like giant steamer ships, and we crash in the ocean. And it really hurts to see when that happens, when we know that people really love each other. So why embrace a mystical perspective of life? Well, I'll tell you why. Because from my experience and from the experience of working with thousands of people, when you embrace the unseen world of who you are, the world of divine light, when you embrace that thought creates, when you embrace that your ability to choose your thoughts directly affect your experience of life. And by the way, this is cognitive therapy and psychology, so that's not even mystical. But the mystics have known this for a long time. When you begin to work with your unseen friends of angels or spiritual guides, your life will become a magical life. I've seen this over and over. So even if it's a stretch, just play with it, try it, because you never know, some kind of magic might come into your life. So what's another step for finding the fun and bringing enlightenment into your family? The first is saying the mantra and knowing that your souls are here to refract from each other the lessons you need to learn. The second step is that when you feel yourself inside getting upset, getting angry, having your buttons pushed, oh, my family member said that thing again that really bothers me, and you start to feel yourself get all worked up. This is the time when you want to stop, watch your breath, bring in the silent watcher, the observer, and push the reset button. Literally imagine yourself pushing a blue button to reset that thought and say to yourself, I don't have to react the way I normally do. I can shift my reaction right now. I can release myself from that reaction. Use your imagination in this. Imagine that there's a rope tied to the button in your solar plexus, and you just untie it and let it go. Imagine that you are in a waterfall of beautiful clear water, and so whatever it is someone else said, it just can't get through. Imagine that you are in a blue pyramid of light and nothing negative can come through that pyramid. These are your mystical tools, and they work because thought and feeling and everything you experience is an energy, a living energy. And so by using the mystical tools, you're actually meeting energy where it begins, in the mind, in the imagination, in the creative part of ourselves. Sometimes if someone says something that's hurtful, it's best to just call in these mystical tools before you say something. That's wise. Because where a conflict escalates in our family, especially we come on vacation, we want to have a fun time, yay, we'll go to the beach, and then a blow up. When that happens, when that kind of friction starts to happen, when you pull in your mystical tools, that gives you a moment to breathe and then react from a neutral place or react from a different place than you normally do. And when you do this, you break the pattern. You break the pattern of dysfunction. You break the pattern of hurt. And you free not only yourself, but the other person. Right there in that moment, you have just created an enlightened experience. Because the enlightened experience in the family, many times is fun, but most of the time it's an experience of awareness, of having a new awareness. Oh, I can have a relationship with my husband, my kids, my wife, my ex-husband, my neighbor, my good friend. I can have an experience that's different than it has been before. And so I can give my soul and the soul of this other person an opportunity to have the space to experience each other. Now think about that, the space to experience each other. When our ego is engaged and we're simply focused on our ego and how the ego operates with each other, there's very little room for our soul to have an experience. And yet that is why we're here. We're here for our soul to have an experience. And so when our soul is not having an experience, our soul's light begins to dim and our soul actually begins to grieve. Our soul begins to feel lost because it's not engaged. Just like if you had a child and you just ignored your child, what would your child do if you just ignored, didn't feed your child, ignored your child, abandoned your child? Well, we would call that child abuse, but what happens? Usually a child will end up crying to get attention and screaming really loud to get attention. until you look and you say, okay, what do you need? And that's what happens to all of us inside. So shift your perspective, and perhaps those in your family and those around you who say or do something unkind, perhaps their ego is falsely interpreting the pain that their soul feels. Now that comes straight from A Course in Miracles, which I've studied for 50 years, but in my own, putting it in a different way. So perhaps when someone lashes out in our family or says something unkind, you can shift your perception that, oh wait, that person's ego is interpreting the pain of their soul, and that's how they do it. They say that stupid thing. They do that stupid thing. That's what's happening. And by shifting your perception of how you receive the information, you have just opened the door to enlightenment. You have just opened the door to creating intimacy and connection. You have opened the door for an enlightened family experience. And you can be the catalyst, whether you are in a family that has a spiritual practice or say you're in a family that doesn't. That doesn't even matter, because your intention, your own practice, and the way you perceive and act will actually help to shift all of those around you so that your family becomes nurturing and caring and supportive. And you have what I call a soul pod. And I'm going to be talking more about soul pods next week and the weeks to follow. And I'm also going to be sharing about what do you do when someone in your family, someone you love, just won't budge and that negativity just won't change. So I'm going to talk about that later. But for today, have fun. This summer, this wonderful summer can be filled with beautiful experiences for you and your family. Please come visit my blog. I've got all of this written down for you. And every week I'm giving you the tips and tools of the mystical perspective so that you can use these in your spiritual practice, your daily practice, to live a fabulous life here on planet Earth. Thank you for joining me. I'm Deirdre Online, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye-bye.